Hello everybody, this is Ryan over at High Carb Regenerator. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, like, subscribe. The one thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is a topic that's been coming up quite often in my DMs from different people that I've talked to over the years, or brand new people or whatever. And my perspective as somebody who's been vegan for 11 years on this topic, I'm going to actually show a picture at some point in this video. I might show a couple pictures of me over the years being vegan. But I'm going to show a picture of me when I finally just let go of all the labels and just did my thing. Like, I was high carb, low fat-ish, but I was working a lot, and I would eat dinner, usually whatever she made, which generally isn't the lowest in fat. And then sometimes she would make dessert and I would still have it. I did get a little more strict towards when I was really losing the weight, but I still wasn't paying attention to the under 20 grams of fat. But I do know that the lower the fat, the faster things will happen for you. So these labels that we put ourselves into, like, I'm a raw vegan, I'm a fruitarian, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a, what are some of the other ones, like keto vegan, whatever it is. It starts to tunnel vision you. And then when that food is not around, you just starve yourself. And then you go into a binge and then you wonder why you just can't lose the weight. And it gets kind of ridiculous, this whole, these labels that we put ourselves into, and then we put ourselves in this little box that we really don't fit in. And then we're trying to burst out of the box, but the label's keeping us in this box. And it just gets kind of ridiculous after a while. The only label, to be quite honest with you, when I've had successful weight loss, now the first time was raw vegan, but I think any kind of vegan that was low fat would have done the trick. But I went raw vegan because I met Arnold, and Arnold is all about the raw vegan. And I he's skinny. I didn't really care for the way he looked, but I knew he had a lot of health issues, but prior to that, and that can dictate how you're going to look. There's no magic pill in the vegan world. You know what I mean? You're not going to, if you look haggard and terrible and your skin's drooping and you walk with a limp and you're missing an arm, going vegan is not going to regrow that arm. It's not going to make you walk correctly again. I kind of have a limp because of the fixed foot that I've got, but I can ride fine. People see me on the bike, they have no idea that I can't even run. And it's just, that is not going to get corrected by being vegan. The label, you can go fruitarian as much as you want to. It's not going to take the metal out of my ankle. It's not going to, regrow that arm that somebody's missing, or because they chewed it off because they wanted to lose weight. You know what I mean? It's not going to correct some of this stuff. And the steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper these labels that we put on ourselves, it's not going to do it. You see actually a fairly large amount, a decent amount of fruitarians or high raw who are still pretty overweight. So it didn't help them. And they're so stuck into this mindset of, I got to be raw vegan, that they don't see the fact that maybe if they added in rice or something like that, they would lose the weight. And maybe they don't want to lose the weight. Maybe they're happy with the figure that they've got. Not everybody is looking to be, I haven't brought this guy out. If you're new to the channel, this guy used to be in. Not everybody wants to be as skinny as this pencil here. It's just not for everybody. Everybody's a little different. I have zero interest in being the size of Durianrider. It doesn't look good to me. It's just not a look that I would want. I'm probably going to try to get myself down, I'm going to get myself down to maybe 200, 215, somewhere in there. We're going to call it there. I know in my interview with him, I know he said that I could get down to like 185, 190. I have zero, I just not interested. And my legs, obviously I'm up here in my videos, but my legs are enormous. They're enormous. I mean, all the years of lifting, and I really concentrated on lifting leg movements, so squat, deadlift. That was, some kind of clean and press once in a while. So my legs are enormous because that's where I focused my time and energy. And then really, if you look at the heart of riding a bike, it's leg focused. Yeah, of course you're holding the handlebars with your arms and the drops with your arms, and you got to control it with your shoulders and your lats and all that kind of stuff. Unless you're doing the unicycle thing where people just let their handlebars. But I don't do that because you can get a lot of leverage out of the handlebars. So I have larger legs than the average person, so I'm not interested in really losing that. It took me years to get it to where they're at. I have no interest in losing that. They're already lean. You know what I mean? So it's just, and that's another label that you put on yourself. Well, I'm going to be 185 pounds one day. This is why I don't ever pick a weight. I'll get down to whatever I get down to. I'll look in the mirror one day. I'll see this is good, and I'll just do whatever it is to be around that weight. And that's just where I'm going to be. And, I don't want these labels, because when I put this raw vegan label on myself, I'll literally go the entire day, sometimes waiting to eat, because the only thing I can really get out in the wild, in the cement jungle, is rice or potatoes or something like that, because finding ripe fruit out there is very hard. Now, I used to actually carry a knife, like a big knife and a spoon with me so I could get watermelon, cut it up. I had a cutting board in my car and everything after a ride. I mean, there's no issue in that. I still don't have issue with that. If you want to have a watermelon after a ride, it's a good thing after a ride. But lately, I don't know what's going on with these watermelon. They're just messing with my gut. So I haven't actually been eating that many. But these labels got to go, man. I mean, I still 100% high carb, low fat. But how do you get there? That's just up to you. What can you find? What can you do in your area? What do you want to eat? A lot of people don't really want to eat fruit. I don't understand that, but they do. And it's just, what do you want to eat? It doesn't make sense to, like, if you don't want to eat a lot of fruit, don't call yourself a fruitarian or a raw vegan and try to live up to that. If you don't want to live up to the label that you forced on yourself, just get rid of the label. This has been a huge topic in my DMs for like the last 2 weeks now. I swear, it's just been like, it's crazy to me how these topics will just kind of come up by themselves in different messaging systems that I have. It's crazy to me how this will just kind of happen like that. People get to the point where they're just so fed up with where they're at that they just don't want the labels anymore. But a lot of the times this takes a form of binge eating, which is done with me in the past. I'll just go to the store and get a bunch of vegan muffins and, or the hummus. I'll go through like a tub of hummus a day. Or, like when I'm really struggling, I haven't done this for over 2 years, but like get the salt and pepper ruffled potato chips from Trader Joe's and eat the entire bag. It'll rear its ugly head in that form most of the time, or you'll go the complete opposite route and go like anorexic or something like that. So remove these labels and... here we go. I'll put the picture here. This is me at bliss. I was eating as high carb, low fat as I possibly could. I wasn't stressing about it. I was just going to work. I was just riding bike, and that was it. I was eating a lot. I can tell you that I was eating a lot. There was no regimented 3 meals a day. I was working in my own little post office by myself. The only time that anybody else was in there other than customers is when the postmaster from the one that was in charge of my little post office had to come over and give me stamps or something like that. And I had, there was an old mail casing shelves that we didn't need anymore. And I had the entire thing full of apples, bananas, oranges, watermelon during watermelon season, Cliff Bars, those, I forget what they're called. They're like a smoothie that you get. I forget what they're called. It was a mango something or other. I had a bunch of those in the fridge. I had a bunch of those pre-packed frozen rices that you just throw in the microwave for a minute. A little bit of vegetables. I think I had some asparagus spears. and water, and there was a couple other things, and I mean, I just ate all day, all day. As soon as I'd get hungry, and if I thought I was going to get hungry, I would eat, and the weight was just, I mean, it was crazy. And like I told a couple other people, and I think I've said this in videos, the women that I worked with, because I would go over to the other post office in the morning and help throw mail, you know, easy overtime. I would go throw mail and letter mail, because I'm the only one that knew the route. And they were getting mad at me. They're like, "You're going to be skinnier than us one day," and that really makes us mad. I'm like, okay, you know, like, you see how I'm eating, you could do it yourself. And some of them were like the size of this pencil, because most carriers aren't fat because they're out walking all day. But they were, it just, that is when it really clicked in. When I really just let go of these labels, I just let go of this mindset, this controlling mindset, and I just was. Is when the weight came off. Honestly, I think I was, actually, you know what? I was really low fat, because when we used to go to the Whole Foods, it was kind of an event, because it wasn't that close to us. So we only went once a week, and I'd have to get all my shit and fit it all in the car, and all her shit and fit. I mean, it was kind of a challenge to get everything in the car. I used to get a couple of the vegan cookies. And I actually switched over to getting the Whole Foods version of Frosted Flakes, and I would just snack on that on the way home, because it was like an hour ride back. And so I was, as the year progressed, I remember in the beginning of the year, I was only lifting. I wasn't riding bike, and I was still having a lot of avocados and stuff like that, and the weight really was pretty stagnated. But once I started getting lower and lower fat, I mean, and I was eating like you would not believe a human could eat, the weight just, because I removed the idea. I even removed the idea that I had to ride every day, or that I had to do this, or, you know, I removed that cycling, the cyclist, you know, training regimen that I had. You know, I removed all of this stuff. I'll ride when I feel like it. I won't ride when I don't feel like it. I stopped lifting because I just didn't see the point of it. And I just was. And the weight, and this all stemmed from the fact that, now I'm going to be out of focus. This all stemmed from the fact that my chiropractor looked at me and he's like, "You're obese." And I said, "I know." And I said, when I started at the post office, I was pretty, skinny for me. And I added in the fat again. When you add in the fat, and this is the thing, this is why I say don't put labels on yourself, but watch the fat. Once I add the fat back in, my weight it goes up. It just goes up. I noticed a little bit of weight gain yesterday because I had some fat on Sunday. I don't think it was, it couldn't have been fat because it all came off again, but it's just really got to watch that. But other than that, just remove these labels. Just stay vegan, high carb, low fat, but however you get it. If you want potatoes all day, if you want rice all day, there are still some days that I'm raw all day. But I don't hold myself to that. And the more you don't hold yourself to this stuff, the more you can just be. You know, it's just like, I had a craving for rice the entire time I was doing that raw vegan stint. And sure, I lost a ton of weight on that raw vegan stint, but I don't know if it was just my gut clearing out because I was on that cleanse or what it was that I keep forgetting to buy that cleanse. But this is just my thoughts, giving it out there. And from talking to probably about 12 to 15 people about this over the last 2 weeks. I wanted to put this out there because people get stressed out. You know, like I mentioned in other videos, and I don't like to talk about this too much, the food situation in this country is getting a little strange, and it might get harder to find fruit anyways. This is why I stock up on rice. It might get harder to find fruit anyways. Anyway, this is my video. I actually didn't intend for it to be this long, but here we are. And just watch yourself with these labels because it creates eating disorder. If you're already somebody who has eating disorder mentality, then putting labels on yourself is going to make it even worse. And you just got to be mindful of that. Anyway, comments, questions down below. Like, subscribe, and I will talk to you in the next video.